Today I got to talk to another OG collector, Lewis, aka MMA Cardboard. He's been collecting since 2009 and was buying gold Joe Rogan rookies back when they were 99 cents. We talk about 3 types of cards that are currently slept on and his experience being a vendor at card shows. We also talk about how he ended up buying a fake card for $1,500 and had to avoid that in the future. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm here with Lewis, the OG, triple OG in the UFC card collecting game. You guys might know him as MMA Cardboard on Instagram. Lewis, thanks for being here, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So I'm really excited. Since you've been in the game for so long, I think, you might have some cool stories and some cool wisdom for, some of us newer collectors or just collectors in general. So before we kind of get into anything, do you want to kind of tell us how you got into UFC cards? Because, I mean, back in 2009, 2010, I would imagine it was totally different and not quite as popular as now. So how'd you get into them?
Yeah, my journey with trading cards started in, like you said, 2009. And oddly, I was on eBay searching for tickets to go to a UFC fight. I used to go to a lot
Oh,
of
that's
events,
cool.
and they, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Tops in round one put redemptions to get a pair to go to the UFC fights.
Oh,
So that
that's
was
sick.
redemptions for tickets. So that popped up in my search. And from there, I had no idea there was cards or anything. I started buying cards. Down the line, I bought a redemption, got a pair of tickets, went to an event courtesy of Tops. But yeah, it all started with me looking for tickets to go to a fight on eBay.
Wow, that's an awesome story. Not necessarily what I was expecting, but very cool. It's funny how everyone, like, you got the web of the UFC card world and just trading cards in general. Some people, like me, kind of had exposure to like Pokemon when I was a kid, and then as we get older, we watch sports, and then you find the sports cards. So that's a really interesting one. Looking for
Yeah,
actual
as a
physical
kid,
tickets.
as a kid, I collected baseball cards. So
Nice.
1989 Tops was my thing. That's what I collected. Used to go to the local liquor store and buy a pack of cards for 50 cents. Go back home, open the pack, go back for more cards. And so when I found this redemption, that just hit home. I mean, it went back to my roots of collecting cards, and
Yeah.
I started buying cards. So
So
yeah.
back then, how were you getting cards? Was it just through eBay? Were you buying products? What was kind of the landscape back then?
Um in 2009,
Yeah.
2000, yeah. And so yeah, it was eBay. Every single purchase I made was on eBay. So I started buying matte relics. I used to think matte relics was the coolest thing. It
Hmm.
tells you on there what event it came from.
Oh yeah.
So matte relics is what I started with, and I got into a little bit into set building, and then as more releases came out, I kind of had to make a pivot and strategize to what I really wanted to collect.
Nice. Were you buying products through eBay? Just specifically singles? What
No,
was kind of your?
I started with singles, and
Mhm.
so when I started, round two had just came out, so I started with singles, and later on, I did start buying hobby boxes. At
Okay.
the time, just to put it in perspective, I think I want to say a round two hobby box was about $80. So I was buying hobby boxes, and that's when I discovered grading as well, and I started opening boxes, grading the cards, selling the cards, buying more boxes, and I just
Mhm.
it just spiraled out of control from there.
Yeah, it snowballed into a crazy collection that you have now. I want to show the people this awesome sale that I saw on your Instagram. Check this out, everybody. So Lewis is on eBay. He buys a Joe Rogan gold for 99 cents. How crazy is that, man? And just for reference, you can buy this card now for $400. It's absolutely insane, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Prices were kind of were crazy when you compare to the prices now. Like you're showing that recent sale going for what it's going for.
Yeah, that's
Um,
wild.
I got it. I was into buying lots since
Mm,
I wasn't opening product at the beginning. I guess I would let other people do the work for me. They would
yeah, yeah.
buy a case or something and then sell the cards as a lot. So I would buy lots. I would buy 100 silvers, 100 golds, just anything in a lot, and that's what I was buying. I started accumulating cards by buying lots on eBay.
Nice, man. That's a good kind of a good buying strategy. Every now and then you'll see a lot, and then there might be like a couple times I've bought in a lot just for one specific card, and for whatever reason, the listing or the eyes, not necessarily being framed around that card, but sometimes you can find some good deals on those lots, even if you're just searching for one card.
Yeah, yeah. Lots is something I look at as well now. And especially we can talk about this later or now if you want, but I started sending a lot of cards into COMC now. So
Hmm.
I'm buying a lot and then selling them, piecing them off at COMC is a little strategy that I'm working on myself right now. But yeah, that's another reason why I'm buying lots.
When you send to COMC, what level of card is it? Is it kind of lower end card, mid end card? What are you kind of targeting there
Um,
for your lots?
what I've been targeting is probably from the $5 to $25 range.
Okay.
Um, there is a fee now. I believe it could be around 50 to 40 cents per card, so it does add up. I usually, if it's a $5 card, I'll sell it for 5.50 to cover that 50 cent
Okay.
fee. But yeah, that's actually the money that I use now to travel and go to the national and stuff. That COMC money, that's my
Okay.
play money. Yeah.
Very smart, man. As far as COMC goes, whenever you're sending it to them, they list it for you. They take a picture for you. Is it an auction or is it a buy it now? Do you have the ability to put one or the other with that, or do they just do they kind of blanket it for
No,
you?
you do have the option now to send stuff into auction. I have yet to do that. I normally just do buy it now. So yeah, buy it now is pretty much the way I sell everything. Um, they said they take the picture, they put the title, they collect the money, they ship it out. So pretty much all you
Yeah.
do is send them the card and give them 50 cents per card, and then they do all the work. So it's a pretty good strategy for anybody that has a lot of cards that they're It's very time consuming to list them yourself.
Oh yeah.
I think right now I have about, I would say 60, 70,000 UFC cards. So
Damn, man.
so yeah, to list something like that would be quite an undertaking. So yeah, just handing them off little by little to COMC is probably what I'm going to be doing for the lower end stuff.
Nice, man. I like to hear that. Josh over at the 047 Sports Cards and TCG, he has the exact same strategy. So we got another collector doing the same thing. So this is definitely something that I want to try this year, maybe later in the year. Lewis, you've been in the game for a while. You've seen the '09, the 10 prices. You saw the COVID prices. How do you kind of see pricing changing in the UFC card space as we move into the future?
I think for a question like that, it depends if you're talking about newer cards or older cards. I
We could
deal
touch
more
on
with
both. Yeah, let's talk
okay,
about
for the
vintage
old
first.
for the older cards. I have seen a steady increase in price. And I think that has to do with there's an influx of new collectors coming in. With Panini and now with the new tops, with tops regaining the license. So little by little, those people start with those products and then they discover the older stuff. And I think gradually the prices for older stuff has been climbing. Um, so that's what I'm more experienced with. The
Right.
newer stuff, I think there's more prospecting that goes on with something like that, and you can either make a lot of money or lose a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's more of a gambler type thing that I'm kind of
Hmm.
away from doing now. So yeah, that's I don't know if that's if that answered your question or not,
No,
but
yeah, no, for sure. And I completely agree. I mean, whenever, the most expensive cards almost always from these modern sets are going to be rookie cards, right? And we know how volatile this sport is. In 1 year, somebody's career can entirely 180 and turn around from where it was. So I completely understand where you're coming from with the more modern collecting and where you kind of think the pricing is going. Okay, one of the most topics I'm excited to talk to you about today. I asked Lewis, I said, in your expert opinion, what are three types of cards that are currently slept on in the UFC card world? And he sent me some awesome cards. I'll go ahead and screen share this first little tidbit of cards. So, Lewis, go ahead and tell the people why you think some of these cards are real slept on right now.
um, what we have there is the gold cards from round one. So the 2009 round one gold cards. My thinking is these boxes are now going for about $3,000, I believe,
Woo!
and you get about one or two per box.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, I think these cards are very underpriced. Full disclosure, I do have a lot of these cards. Um, so I'm not saying this just to pump my own bag, but
Right.
it 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 just doesn't make sense that if a box is $3,000,
Right.
this is the lowest number parallel. You have the silvers that are numbered to 288. These are even lower than that. They're about a third of that. So you have people like Rampage Jackson there. That's his
Hmm.
rookie Mad Auto. The Victorious Debut, which is my favorite set of all time. Um, I think those cards, I mean, they're not cheap right now, but you can
Right.
get like a Michael Bisping out of '88. I think there's one on eBay for $100. I think that's
Wow.
very, very cheap right now. And I can see cards like this in the future being worth a lot more when people start to understand that you get one or two of these per box, and the boxes are now $3,000.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I see. This is the type of stuff that, unless you're like, getting products or you're around back then, nobody knows. Or I definitely didn't know this. So these are about one per box. Okay, so that's really interesting. Yeah, I saw. I think it was an Anderson Silva gold of this up a while back, and I want to say it was graded. I think actually a really good grade. It was like 9 or maybe 8 or 9, and it was around 1,000, which I thought was kind of a good deal back then also. But interesting, man. As far as pricing goes, what do you think these should be worth?
I I I would say it depends if you're talking current or in the future. I can see a
Yeah,
card like that Rampage card being $1,000 card in the next
yeah.
5 to 10 years. So it is kind of hard for them to pop up. They don't pop up often. You see a couple of them a year,
Hmm.
but they do. They even the matte relics, the lower names, some of them auction off for as cheap as $20, and I think
Wow.
that's a great buy. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you've
collect
got.
the matte relics. For some reason,
Mhm.
I never really got into the matte relics. I do own. I think those might be the only two golds I own. But yeah, I think anything gold from round one is very underpriced right now.
Nice, man. I love it. All right, first type of card that slept on. Lewis says the gold from round one. All right, second type of card. What why do you think these are slept on, and can you explain these to us?
Yeah, my thinking, I think these are the ones I own, but I think anything that's on card, um, from a fighter that had their first autograph be a sticker auto. So, for an example, I don't know if we can see this or not. This is the
Can you
uh,
put it in front of your face?
oh, there we go.
There you go. Oh yeah, the moment
Oh,
of, is that the moment of truth, DC?
this is the moment of truth. There we go. Moment of truth. Cormier. So this is the
Hmm.
red ink. So I
Oh,
love
let
this
me.
card. Oh, sure.
There you
I
go.
should have said I
Yeah,
can send you the image on this.
yeah.
So
I.
I love this card. It's the red ink
Uh-huh.
Cormier, but this is the sticker auto. Um, the one you see on your screen here, that's the one of one I just bought recently from the UFC Card Father. When we set up in Ontario not too long ago. Um, that's an on card auto. That autograph came out or that product came out 3 months after the original first auto. So in my
Nice.
thinking, anything that would be, I would say, 2012 knockout for Cormier, that's on card compared to the sticker auto. I mean, it doesn't have the first auto sticker, but I think down the line people are gonna maybe focus more on card compared to sticker.
Uh-huh.
And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But to cover my bases, I do
Yeah.
have a lot of on card autos that are not first autos, but they're low numbered on card autos. And
Okay. Are you targeting specifically the first on card auto from that person? Is that kind of what you're hunting with this?
no, I usually go for the first 2 3 years of a fighter.
Okay.
So I do draw a line. Like I wouldn't collect on a Amanda Nunez 2024 card, just
Right.
even if it's on card because that's so far away from her first autograph.
Hmm.
But anything in the first couple of years,
Okay.
I think those cards are underpriced if they're on card autos. Um, yeah, especially when the fighters there when there's a lot of fighters who are like round two, John Jones, his first autograph is a sticker autograph.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a great autograph, especially the red inks, those are numbered to 25. But then you have something like this that's on card 2 years later and or 3 years later. And I think collectors would be attracted to something like that, especially when we get big money coming in from other sports.
Right.
a lot of people from other sports prefer on card autos. So as this market grows and buyers come in, there might be people focusing on card autos compared to sticker autos, even if they're
Right.
first autos.
Nice, man. As far as this John Jones goes, one, I love this image. The foot's just wrapping around Bader's head right here. Like, this is an insane image that they gave us. You said this was a 1-of-1 right here?
That's the one of one. That's the one of one. I
Wow.
didn't send you the backs, but that's the one of one of them. So those three right there on the screen are all one of ones.
Dude,
Um,
that's sick. As far as the cane goes, you got a 9.5, and these are actually like really good grades too. When it comes to vintage and when you're trying to buy, especially on card autos, they can kind of get beat up, and sometimes do you find yourself trying to buy a specific grade and above, or do you just kind of buy whatever's out there?
no, that Cain Velasquez I actually graded myself. The John Jones was graded when I bought it, but when I'm buying older cards, I I focus less on the condition, especially if it's a
Hmm.
one of one. It comes how it comes. Um, so lower number cards, the condition itself doesn't really matter to me.
I like that.
Um,
Okay. Third up, we had the golds from round one. We have on card autos from vintage products. 3 years is your rule for after their rookie auto, which is kind of cool. I like when people have specific parameters to work in, so I really like that you added that 3 year. And lastly, we have a whole grip of cards. Would you want to talk about this Crow Cop, and then we can kind of browse through them, and what's your thoughts on why you think
sure.
these cards are slept on?
Sure. Like these cards here that tell of the tape. I just think in other sports you have RPAs or rookie patch autos. In our sport, the closest thing we have to anything that's game worn or fight used would be something like this.
Hmm.
This tape actually came from a particular fight. So
Yeah.
I think and I don't own that card there, that Crow Cop
Hmm.
is not mine. The only one I own of those is the one that one there, the Phil Davis. I was a big Phil Davis fan and I still am. I have a quite a big PC of him. But something like that came from a particular fight,
Yeah.
I think those are really interesting cards, and I think those
Hmm.
are slept on. You don't see them popped up often, like that one there. It's numbered out of 10, I believe.
Yep.
So it's you don't see that type of card often, but I think they're really underpriced when you compare it to what it's really representing. You're holding a piece of history. It's something that came from a particular fight. I I slept on these cards myself. I would have loved to. I think they came out in 2010. Knockout Series 4, Moment of Truth. I don't own any of these. Um, like that one there, the Henderson and the
Yeah,
Pettis.
this
That's
is
a
crazy right here. All of this right here.
yeah,
Who knows? Is that blood? We don't know what that is. Is that just grime? But that's insane.
yeah. I don't know when these came out. Why I didn't think this was a cool card, but the longer time has gone by, I this is one of the type of sets and cards I regret not collecting because I mean this is a game worn, fight worn
Yeah.
piece of history. I mean, you do have like that other one with the Phil Davis also has a little piece of the mat from
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
particular fight. Like I
Hmm.
just think that's awesome, and I slept on these cards. I don't own a lot of them. Um, they're not cheap when they pop up, but I just think these cards for what they are very underpriced, and I can see these cards being worth a ton in the future.
Yeah, man. So this is really awesome because we don't. I mean, I don't think we've seen a fight used glove or a fight used tape in forever, but we do get these authentic matte relics from fights nowadays. So that's always been kind of one of my favorite relic and mem items, and I think that those are probably the most interesting comparatively to like the fighter just putting on a shirt or the fighter just like putting a glove on for 1 second and then taking it off, because at least like the matte event used relics are getting stepped on, they're getting bled on, like people are competing on those. So I completely agree that this is kind of a really interesting, and I hope that they will give us some type of like tape or something like that in the future, because that'd be so sick.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like nowadays you would see like the logo of the Venom or the Reebok or
Yeah.
something like that on those cards. Those I mean, those weren't a walkout shirt. It wasn't anything. It was just something that somebody put on for a second, took it off. So when you compare that to something like this, that it's a piece of tape that actually came from that particular fight,
Yeah.
that's night and day when you compare them.
Yeah, man. Awesome. I love it. Thank you again for kind of tweaking this subject a little bit because when I initially sent the question over to Lewis, it was a little bit different, but this was much better little segment. So I appreciate that, man. So you've been in the game for a long time. I know you've had an eBay store for a really long time too. And do you want to kind of talk to us about anything that you've learned from eBay throughout the years? 24 years, man, and I don't even know when this post was made, so it may even be longer now. But you've been an eBay seller for forever. So what can you tell the people about eBay?
Yeah, I think I started my eBay store selling action figures. I used to sell starting lineups. So that's back in the day in my college years. I would make extra money selling starting lineups on eBay.
Nice.
But yeah, so that store's always been there. As far as cards, as soon as I began buying cards, soonly after I started selling cards because I started buying a lot of stuff that after I had it, did not I wasn't feeling it. So I would buy something and then it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to collect and how I wanted to collect. So yeah, eBay has been the constant here, which is I buy everything on eBay and I cards that I have a surplus of or cards I want to move, I sell on eBay.
I like it. That's been a big focus of mine because in the last 2 or 3 years ago, I was buying a lot, but I wasn't really selling much. And I don't really, it's a lot of work. It's a hassle. Sometimes you can't get what you want for the card. But this year, I've really been trying to sell more. And a lot of it is from people like you that have been collecting for a long time. And once you start selling, you kind of learn some things, but also you free up so much extra cash that you can then put back into cards that you want or put back into products that you want. So anybody watching, like you really, I know it sucks to list cards and stuff, but maybe you go the COMC route, maybe you go the DC Sports route, but really try and up your selling game because that allows you to just buy more without having to spend out of pocket. So can you think of any mistakes that you've made or that you've learned from throughout the years of messing with eBay?
As far as mistakes, the mistakes would have been buying a card maybe I shouldn't have bought. But that was more on me.
Yeah.
Um, I did have a couple of experiences where I've early on I did purchase a fake George St. Pierre card
Okay.
and most recently I purchased a handful of Brock Lesnar cards and one of them was a fake.
All
So
right. Let's talk about that while we're here. So we had the we got the Brock Lesnar. To just start from the very beginning. How did this come about? Because one, I can't. If I bought this, I don't even know if I would have been able to tell that this is a fake. So kind of take us through the whole thing.
yeah, when I initially saw the listing on eBay, I he had three cards pictured. The one in the middle looked a little off. I messaged the seller and I asked him, "Hey, the one in the middle looks a little off," and he said, "I've sold cards for years on eBay. I've touched thousands of cards, and this card is 100% legit. It looks just
Mhm.
like the other ones." And that's all the reassurance I needed. I went ahead and purchased the cards from this guy. I still had a funny feeling, and this might be a good tip for anybody buying cards.
Uh-huh.
Whenever it's a high dollar card or something you have a gut feeling about, I set up the tripod and turn on the camera and I record
Mm.
myself opening that package. So I recorded myself opening this package, and as soon as I opened it, the card in question, I mean, the guy didn't care for it, so I think he knew it was a fake. It
Mm.
wasn't even in a penny sleeve or anything.
Wow.
You and here's another tip for sellers.
Mhm.
I've Since I do grade cards, as soon as I receive a card, I take it out of the top loader, out of the magnet, the one touch, and I feel the card. Um, you have 3 days to return a card on eBay. So the first thing I do is I put my hands on it, and 99% of the time everything's fine. But when
Right.
I touched this card, it did not feel like a trading card. I mean, we all
Mm.
handle trading cards every day, and this felt like a flyer. It felt like a it was more paper than it was cardboard. And that was another clue. Then you start looking at the autograph; it's a little bit faded, and I was a little disappointed, a little upset because I could have prevented all this by not purchasing this item, but I was reassured by the seller that everything was
Right.
legit. Um, so yeah, that's what happened there. I purchased the cards. I ended up returning them, and that's in the process right now of getting sorted out. But yeah, a quick takeaway from this would be always,
Hmm.
unless a card is graded, I would take it out of the one touch, out of the top loader, and actually feel the card. If you're a collector, you know what's real and what's not. Just the material in the cardstock that it came from, you can tell it was not a real card.
Wow, man, that's crazy. So you bought this was a lot of Lesnar's. Was it? You said it was
It
three
was
Lesnar's
it was
autos.
3 Brock Lesnar's. There was 2 real ones and one fake one. And
Mm.
I guess that's another point we can share with the listeners here. If you're selling a lot of cards, more than one, it does not go through the eBay authentication program.
Oh,
So the
nice.
fact that he sold 3 meant that
He,
eBay didn't get to if this would have been inspected by
yeah,
eBay,
he knew what
it
he was
wouldn't have
doing.
passed. Yeah, so if
That's
you
dirty.
I guess we're making better criminals here, but if you ever want to sell a fake card, you sell it as a lot, and it doesn't go through
Hmm.
the authentication program.
Interesting, man. What did you buy the lot for? Like, how much did this run you? The three cards.
Um, this this lot, I don't know the exact number. I want to say it was about $500 a card, so it was $1,500 for this slot.
Oh
Um,
man.
Another tip, when you have a bad feeling about something like this, I always use card money to buy cards. So I use card money to buy cards.
Yeah.
For this, I put this on a card just so it wouldn't because I had a feeling this might be tied up and I didn't want to tie up
Yeah. Yeah.
my own personal money. I didn't want to tie up my card money. I put this on a card just so now I have a credit card involved and they can do a chargeback or anything like that if there was any funny business going on, and that's the process I'm in right now.
Man, well, that is terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you, dude. But like, I'm very thank you for bringing this topic up. I'm very thankful for you sharing your experience. That's a really lot of good tips for everyone. Um, hopefully, they can make this right, dude, because that's really shitty. And like, that's such a terrible feeling. Because like, 1,500 is a big purchase, and 500 to just get taken away from you because the card is fake is a lot of money too. So I hope that are you going through eBay or how is this kind of in the process
Yeah,
of getting
right now it's
resolved?
still through eBay. There's a process, but first it gets escalated, then you get like a supervisor involved, and we're in the process of all that. From there, if that doesn't get settled, that's when I get my credit card involved. But when you said refund or anything, he did initially offer me a refund. He offered me a nickel, so
What,
he offered a
bro?
refund for a nickel.
What
So
is
I think that,
that?
yeah, I don't know if
He's just
that
trolling
was
you
him
at that
saying,
point.
yeah, but him doing something like that just added
Hmm.
more ammo for my case, and yeah, that's the process we're in right now. Yeah, I'm out $1,500, but it's not really my money. That transaction is frozen, so yeah, I'm not out anything right now, but yeah, it was a good learning experience. I did learn be extra careful when you're buying a lot.
Yep.
Also, the fact that the seller was outside the country added a little wrinkle as
Mm.
well because the cards were coming from Canada, and returning the cards gets very tricky because the handoff between the U.S. post office and the Canadian post office is not as a good transaction as it should be. So
Yeah,
the
especially
passing,
right now. I think
yeah,
they were having like shortages with their workers, and the Canadian postal system I think was having some issues a couple weeks ago. So it's kind of a bad timing for you as well. I would imagine they might just be kind of swamped right now.
yeah. I'm very optimistic that this is going to have
Hmm.
a happy ending, but yeah, it made me the it gave me the opportunity to turn on the old YouTube and make a little video. Hadn't been
Yeah,
hadn't been doing that in a while, but yeah, that's where we sit there. That's where we stand now with this topic.
man. Well, that's terrible. Again, everybody listening, I hope you guys are have your ears open and are taking notes, because that's a really bad experience. Something that, I think every collector is scared of encountering, of getting taken advantage of. And especially through eBay, that's kind of a rare thing. Usually you have so much protections involved with eBay, the authentication and all that, but kind of like a Swiss cheese model of things that, that can go wrong here. But Louis, you're a killer eBay seller. You had also talked to me kind of behind the scenes that you're also becoming a vendor at UFC card show, or at card shows, selling UFC cards and kind of getting to experience that. Do you want to kind of share kind of some stories about you at card shows, or some tips and tricks?
Yeah. That's that picture there is me and the UFC card father.
You got
I
Chris.
knew that's Chris, and then that would be I forget his name, but that's the Ronda Rousey trainer.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, nice.
yeah,
He was there. What's he
um,
doing? He's buying cards.
yeah, he was walking the show, and I recognized him, and he came over. We took a picture. The card father gave him he used to train
Uh,
Manny Gamburian, so he gave him the
oh,
Manny Gamburian 1 of 1, I believe.
nice.
So
Manville the Anvil. I used to love that nickname. I thought that was
yeah,
sick
yeah.
for him.
So yeah, I've been setting. I want to say I've done about a dozen shows now.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm more of an introvert type person. So one of my goals a couple of years ago was to put myself out there, and
Nice.
just I bought 2 display cases, and I paid the fee, and I set up, and I didn't know what to expect. I ended up going a little bit bigger the first time that I should have. I set up at the Burbank show, which was a local show here. I believe I paid $600 for the weekend. So it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So just to
Thursday,
give you an
Friday,
idea
Saturday,
what it
Sunday.
cost.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's about $150 a day, for
Wow.
a weekend like that. And yeah,
Oh, Louis, before we go any further, $150 a day. Is that just for Burbank? Is that about the price for a lot of the card shows that you're going to?
it varies. The smaller shows, I do local shows here, and those could be about $80 a day.
Okay.
But the bigger shows are the ones that span over a weekend. And those are a little bit more pricey. You can find local shows, I believe, across the country for 50, 60, 70, $80. So there's a lot of them. There's a lot of shows now that pop up, like in like there's a DoubleTree down the street here, and they have a card show now, and they
Nice.
just rent the ballroom, and they
Hmm.
charge people $80, and it fills up. And all
Yeah.
these shows, and they're being overtaken with in the last year with Pokemon cards. I would say the last
Hmm.
show I went to was probably 2/3 Pokemon. So yeah, there's a lot of
For sure, man.
Pokemon frenzy.
As far as you at card shows selling cards, are there specific types of cards that you're trying to move, like low, mid, high? Are there specific cards that you think sell more? What's kind of your experience with when people are buying cards from you?
That's a great question. So, like I said, the first time I set up, especially that first Thursday night, they call it VIP night. So I figured VIPs, those are high rollers. I showed up with the high roller cards,
Oh yeah.
and I sold $25 the first day. $25, and just to give you an example, I spent $30 on beer. So I
Yeah.
took a $5 loss. It
Yeah.
was me and my brother there. We bought 2 tall cans, and that was
Uh,
$15 a pop. So I sold $25 and spent $30 on beer. But yeah, since it was a local show, came home, regrouped. I took out all the expensive cards, and I brought a bunch of $100 to $500 range,
okay.
and that was the strategy I've been going with ever since. That's the kind of card I've had success with. Anywhere from I do have like value boxes, and those could be about $20 to 30, 40, $50. But my bread and butter is anything from 100 to 500 at a card show.
Nice, man. I love that. We had Jack at KC, has a Instagram, really good Instagram. Shout out to Jack. He's really was curious about the this topic in particular, because I told on my little members thing that I was going to be having you on. So he's really hyped about this segment. You mentioned bringing the case, or the like display case. What other type of equipment are you bringing when you come to these shows?
Um, I did purchase the cases. You can rent them there. It
Okay.
just becomes an economical thing to purchase them, so I did
Hmm.
have to front the money for that. Other than that, just you have 8 feet of real estate, so you bring a couple value boxes and you just the display cases, the lower end stuff are on the table, and yeah. One piece of advice is I always bring somebody with me. Just little things like I may have to go to the restroom, I may be tied
Yeah.
up with somebody doing a deal, and having a second set of eyes there. You do see online there's people that get cards stolen, and
Hmm.
yeah. So I'll ask a friend, a brother, a buddy, and I'll pay them for their time, and having
Nice.
a second person there, is probably the number one thing I can advise somebody to do. Um, because if you're tied up doing a big deal, somebody can look through your box and take a handful of cards and walk away.
Hmm.
And I probably wouldn't even notice because it's a bunch of low end cards. But having somebody there to help other buyers is probably the number one thing I would recommend.
It's probably more fun too, having somebody there to just chit chat with while you're just sitting there waiting for people to come around too. Having a little buddy with
Yeah,
you.
it makes the time go by faster.
Yeah.
Some of these can be in 8 hour days, 10 hour days, but yeah, I enjoy talking to people.
Hmm.
Um, just talking cards in general, and it gave me a different perspective of being on that side of the table. Um, when I first started setting up, I wasn't capitalizing on this, but now, especially the last show I do, I'm pretty much there to help people cash out. There's a lot of people that come with a stack of cards and they try to get out of them, and you get to buy them at a discount.
Yeah,
Um,
nice. I didn't think about
so
that.
yeah, so I bought I've bought cards, let's say $1,000 card for $500 because that's all the guy wanted. He said, "Give me $500. I'll
Yeah.
put it in the case for $1,000." And 10 minutes later, it
Yeah,
sells for $1,000.
that's
So
awesome.
so yeah, you have a lot of people, especially with repackers now. I guess people get into repacks, and people that don't collect UFC cards end up with UFC cards, and you have people walking by to see the UFC table, and they'll say, "Here's $100 card. Give me $25 for it," and then you give
Nice.
them $25,
I like to
and
hear
they're,
that.
they're happy, you're happy, and
Hmm.
you put that card in the case, and 10 minutes later, it's gone. So I've had shows where I haven't sold as much as I would like, but I've been able to buy a lot of cards, and then that's just cards I can sell on eBay, and it's
Hmm.
just another avenue to increase and get additional cards for the purpose of selling them on eBay.
Nice, man. A lot of good information there. As far as accepting payments from people, are you just strictly cash? Do you use Venmo? What exactly do you use, and like what kind of protections are involved with how you're accepting the payments and stuff?
Um, I would say 80% of the transactions are probably cash. What I um what I did invest in is one of those little markers that tells you if a bill's a counterfeit or not.
Nice,
So
dude.
the
That's
very first
hilarious.
show, I think I bought a 4 pack on Amazon for $5 or $4 or something, and yeah, somebody hands you $1,000 all $100 bills, you run the marker on them to make sure they're real.
That's smart,
Um,
man. Smart.
and yeah, so that's whenever I set up, I usually try to make friends with the neighbors sitting next to me, and I hand out those little counterfeit markers to people.
Awesome, dude. All right, we're back to looking at your awesome collection right now. One of the questions I really wanted to ask Lewis, because he has a sick collection, was what are three of your favorite cards that you have, and like how'd you get them, why'd you get them, when'd you get them? This was the first one that you sent me. Tell us about this card, Lewis.
This is the 2010 Cain Velasquez 101 auto,
Wow.
and this is the card I wanted forever, and it's actually I guess a little topic we can talk about. I wanted this card so long and so bad that once I had the card, I started thinking, "What now?"
Yeah.
My goal was this: you reach your goal,
Right.
like what now? And and I never thought. I remember getting this card and being happy I had it, and then thinking like, what now? Like everything I was doing was to get this card, and I got this card, and now where do I go from here? And
Hmm.
yeah, that was something I didn't know was going to happen when I when I obtained my Grail card. But once I obtained it, it was a bummer after because anything other than this wasn't going to compare.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of had a similar feeling with my Habib first auto. Obviously, it's not like, it's not the biggest card in the world, but for me, when I first started collecting, that was the card I saw, and I was like, dude, if I can get that, like that's as good as it gets for me. And then you slowly save, you slowly sell some cards, you're getting your pile of cash ready. You finally find one, you finally get it, and then you're like you said, you're just kind of like, huh, well, like where do we go to now? So how did you kind of navigate that? Because that's something that I've heard a couple different people say. And what was kind of your thought process and what was your mind at after that?
Um, One thing I did, and like I set a demarcation point. So like I said, the 3 year thing, I did
Hmm.
a 5 year thing with Kane. I only collect from 2009 to 2013. Anything after 2013, I do not collect.
Okay.
And the reason I did that because it's a never ending story if you continue to. I mean, they're still printing Cain Velasquez cards till this day, even though he's not
Yeah.
fighting. So yeah, I only collect the first 5 years, and having a line and sticking to it is probably one of the best things you can do because it focuses what you're collecting and when you're collecting, and it just frees up so much money to buy other things. Because if you're spending all your money on Cain Velasquez, then that's going to limit your options on
Hmm.
growing the PC in other areas.
Awesome, man. Huge Kane, absolute nuke. This is probably the biggest Kane card you could get. First auto, one of one. Like, that's absolutely massive. Next up, we got, of the three, personally, this was my favorite card that you have. This is a nuke. And actually, thank you as well for helping me complete the Victorious debut set. That's kind of a sneak peek to a video I want to do in the future. I finally finished that set. And this is, well, you tell us about this card, man.
This is the round one victorious debut, one of Anderson Silva. So this is
Massive.
yeah, I was a big Anderson Silva fan when I was going to fights, when I first started watching, when I first became hardcore into it. And yeah, just him fighting Forrest Griffin, him doing the kick on Vitor, like Anderson Silva was the man. And
Mhm.
this 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 is one of my favorite cards here.
What do you remember what you bought this for? How did you get it? About when the year you got it?
I don't remember the year. There used to be this website called buymmacards.com, and that's where I met people like the UFC Card Father. And in that forum, there used to be a thread where people would auction off cards, and
Oh,
this
okay,
card was
cool.
auctioned off in that forum, and I purchased it there. I don't remember exactly what. It's all relative to the time because
Yeah.
if like right now $1,000 card wouldn't be that expensive to some people, but at the time when there's no comps and when something's new, it's kind of hard to know what something's worth.
For sure.
um so I don't remember exactly what I paid for it, but it wasn't. I mean, compared to the offers I received when I first posted this on Instagram, it would be 20 times probably what I paid.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
But yeah, this is a killer card. It's probably one of the favorite cards that I own.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of, what many people, including myself, have as one of the greatest fighters of all time. It's a debut card, the one of one. Like, that's just an absolutely astronomical card. And lastly, we got this Stefan Struve versus Junior Dos Santos. I remember, the one thing I remember about Stefan Struve was I remember watching like his highlights and being like, is this guy an NBA player? Like, how tall is this guy?
Yeah, and it's weird that this is one of my favorite cards, but it's not because of what it's worth. I want to say it's probably worth 30-40 bucks,
Huh?
but it's more what it represents. I bought this card, and I think I sent you the invoice. I bought this
Yep.
card in November of 2009. This was the first
Yeah.
low number card I ever bought.
Cool, man.
I
Cool.
remember buying this card. What was it, $7 or something? Yeah,
Yeah.
and
719.
it came through the mail. I think it was in a plain white envelope or something like that. And I remember looking at it and thinking, this is number 28. There's 7 billion people on Earth, but only 8 people can own this. And just the fact that I don't know, that rang with me. having 8 cards in the world, or having 8 of this card, and only 8 people in the world can own them. That's what changed my buying strategy. From there, I started buying one of ones. I
Hmm.
started buying rubies. So I went away from set building and collecting other stuff, because I used to collect, like, I wanted to have one autograph of every fighter, and I went away from all that and I started focusing on collecting rubies and collecting one of ones. And now I have 500, 600 one of ones,
Wow,
couple
crazy,
hundred
dude.
rubies. Like, I think of this round one, I have over a third of the set in the rubies. Just because whenever I see them at a decent price, I buy them.
Hmm.
But this step is true. I think I have 4 out of the 8. But I just remember the feeling I got when I was holding this card, thinking there's only 8 of these, and
Yeah.
I own one of them. And I think if I never bought this card, I would have probably been a set builder. And me buying a ruby numbered out of 8 changed the way I thought, changed the way I collected. And without this card, I wouldn't have the collection I have now.
Oh man, very very cool. This is the cornerstone. This is the cornerstone of your
Yeah,
awesome collection now.
that's my first, my lucky penny, I guess. Or
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you touched on that because I think that's something that a lot of people kind of come to the realization eventually as they kind of go through their collecting journey is like, I mean, collecting, sets is awesome. Collecting like higher end parallels is okay, but the rarity and the supply and demand of the cards is really kind of what makes them valuable. So kind of trying to like narrow your scope down and kind of trying to prioritize those lower numbered parallels can really make your collection flourish, and it'll keep you from just buying so many cards as well.
yeah, when I started collecting back in 2009, there wasn't enough money to set build. There wasn't enough money to do this. So
Hmm.
I kind of had to focus, and that's what I focused on. I focused on buying low numbered cards. Um, I also learned very quickly that the way to get more cards would be to sell the current cards you have. So
Hmm.
I've always been very good at selling cards. So a lot of cards I bought early, I've been able to sell for a profit, and that money goes back in, and it's just snowballed into a massive collection. But without selling a lot of these early cards, I would not have the cards I have now. So yeah, I've sold cards that I probably shouldn't have sold, but that money went back in,
Hmm.
and I ended up with what I ended up. Something I learned, I did dabble a little bit with crypto a while back, and some, I think, on a video or in person, because I would go to conferences as well. Um, they said you'll never go broke taking a profit, and that's something that stuck with me with collecting. As long as you're making a profit, it's always going to grow. Another thing they were talking about is if you double $1,000 10 times, that $1,000 can turn into $1 million. So if
Wow.
you double 1,000, it's 2,000, 4,000, 8,000,
Hmm.
16,000. You have to do that 10 times and you'll end up with $1 million. And rolling the money over for 15 years um, has been the secret to me growing this. Um, Another secret is being on eBay. I've been on eBay every day
Yeah.
for 15 years. And it's
That's
one of those
awesome, man.
things where you put in the hours, and it's that 10,000 hours rule where you
Hmm.
become an expert if you put in 10,000 hours. I've put in 10,000 hours on UFC trading cards. So I know comps, I know what year, what release, what a card came from just by looking at it.
Hmm.
And that's all just me putting in the time. So I mean, there's been other people out there with more money, but I don't think there's people out there that have outworked me, because I've put in the time doing all this.
Yes, sir. SR, baby. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready, Lewis. That's what it's all about right there. You kind of touched on it there a little bit, but how have your collecting habits and buying kind of changed over time? In the landscape of UFC cards, we have so many modern cards now. Do you not necessarily dabble in those? Do you buy to flip, or do you get into that world at all? What's kind of your thoughts on the modern cards now?
Um, I don't break. I don't buy new product, and I don't join breaks.
Hmm.
Um, I do try to stay current with the new products coming out, and even though I don't prospect, um, I did prospect recently. I guess this is
Oh
breaking news
yeah?
here.
Who,
That
who you got?
that Kayla Harrison 101 auto, that was me who purchased that.
Oh, the super fractor. I
So
saw that the other day. Nice, man.
yeah, so I saw you guys talking about that.
Let me pull that up real
Um,
quick.
so I don't really prospect, but I'm prospecting on her. I'm a big fan of hers. I think she's probably going to be the champ, and that was me breaking my own rule of not prospecting, and I went ahead and purchased that Kayla.
Yes, sir. Beautiful card, man. I actually saw this the other day. Yeah, we were talking about I think what was it, the of five or something, and we were like, man, that's like I think it sold for 500 or 600. I was like, that seems kind of low for a fighter that could potentially have a crazy 2 or 3 year run. Personally, I don't think she's ever going to be like Nunez, the lioness status, but she definitely could etch her name in the books and be like one of the best most dominant women's fighters ever. We'll see. Of course, we have to see what happens. Prospecting is super dangerous, but that's cool, man. I'm glad to know you got this, and I bet this is a beautiful card in person.
So yeah, I am a fan of Finest,
Mm-hmm.
just like we showed that Kane earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and I did consider buying a case or two, and instead of doing that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy two cases and probably not pull a
Yeah.
single card that I'm gonna like. I'm just gonna take that money for the cases and get the Kayla, and that's what I did. So to me,
Always the smartest thing. Always the
so
smartest
to
thing.
me, I paid what I would have spent on two cases. I bought what I consider to be the case hit. I mean, the release hit. This is probably one of the top cards in the release, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I was able to obtain that card, and now I can move on with doing other things.
Nice, man. So you are kind of you are in the modern game. You're keeping your eye on it. You're pulling the trigger every now and then, but you're not buying products. You're not in breaks. You're not necessarily speculating on many rookies. Um, so are you think you're gonna keep that way? Do you see yourself changing in the next few years? Would it take like a product that really has stuff that you really enjoy to buy, a box or something, or kind of what do you think?
I don't see myself buying product anymore. The last product I did buy is when Chrome came out in 2024. I bought, I think, what were the boxes? $200 a box. I bought two
Mhm.
boxes and I got murdered. And I'm like,
as you almost always do.
this is why I don't buy product. I
Yeah.
could have bought a $400 card and still have that now.
Yep.
And yeah. So actually, for the next release, I don't think I sent you the picture. I do have a stack of cards here. I bought the we're not gonna be able to see it, but
No, no, I'll put you on solo.
the
There you
Tom
go.
Aspinall one of one on card auto.
Nice. There
So
you go. All right.
I do buy cards like that when they pop up. Um, and my thinking behind that is I just spent $400 on garbage. I'll spend the same amount of money and get myself a non-card auto of potentially the next heavyweight champ.
Mm-hmm. Nice, man. I love it. Um, before we kind of wrap up here, do you have anything that you want the people to know or pages to go visit or anything like that?
No, I'm mostly I got off Facebook. I don't do Facebook anymore. It was just I was a part of a lot of Facebook groups, and it just became time consuming and a waste of time in my opinion. So I got away from that. I'm on Instagram, and I do have a lot of people that'll hit me up with either questions about older cards, or I do have a lot of set builders that'll send me their spreadsheets of stuff they're looking to complete and fill. But
Nice.
so I'm very approachable and accessible through Instagram. And yeah, if anybody has a question about anything, um, you can hit me up there.
Oh yeah, you also I mean we alluded to it a lot. You sell a lot on eBay. You have some massive cards on eBay. So I'll link all of Lewis's stuff in the description. You can check out his IG. You can check out his eBay store. Thanks for coming on, man. This has been awesome. A lot of good information. Hopefully you guys got some good gems from this conversation. We'll have you again on the future, man. Thanks for coming on today.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.